Hey guys, Ramblin Bob here again. Okay, so this is a quick update with the EB3A by Bluetti. So when I first got this system, and remember this is a sponsored review, they sent me this box free of charge just to do a review and to try it out and see how I like it. And then let everybody know what our experiences were. The system so far has been fantastic. The only issue that I came into so far that I've found so far is this. When you click on the system, and then you click this, notice that the power's on, the wattage is on, but the LED, we think it burned out during the first initial unboxing. That was the first video that we did. And notice that it uses 1 watt, which is normal for the setting of low, or what they call medium. There's a medium and a high. I never understood that, but this is level 1 on the light. And then if you go to 2, that's supposed to be 2 watts, it goes to level 2. Now, during my initial testing of the first video, this would spike all the way up to 5 watts. And I think what happened is that spike burnt out this LED light because it started flickering. You can go back and watch the video, probably about the 58 or 59 minute mark of that video. You'll see that this spikes all the way up to 5, and then this burned out. I don't know if it's just the light or if it's the board, but hopefully, and then this would normally technically be the strobe, and notice it's doing nothing right now. So there's no response from the light at all on low, or they call it medium, and that's high. See, and then the strobe that would normally be SOSing. So what I thought I'd do is I'd turn this off and I'd show you guys how very simple it is to get to this piece. Let me raise this up a little bit here, guys, so I can get a little bit more camera view here. Okay, let me put this up, and let me put this up. Normally people don't have to do stuff like this, but that's the whole concept of a test. A review, I don't believe should be a commercial. I believe it should be an actual test of a product to see if the product works or not. I'm not into doing commercials for people. I really test the products, and I see if they really work or not. I don't care what manufacturers say. I want to see for myself if it can live up to those specs of the manufacturer. So one thing I notice in here too, that nowhere on the website or anywhere, in the other video I mentioned, I couldn't find the battery composition as far as the voltage for the battery cells. Well, it's written on the bottom, and I didn't notice this until I flipped it over and I had to take these off to open it. If you look here, it's a 22.4 volt battery cell composition inside with lithium iron phosphate. So now that we know that, it's a little bit more piece of the puzzle, but I found that very strange that it's not on the Bluetti website and it's not in the manual. Okay, so back to what we were doing. Now we have one more piece of the puzzle. These little rubbery feet, they just peel right off here. They're a little hard to get off sometimes, obviously because they're glued. See, they're just little rubber feet. They're nothing really fancy, but they definitely do their job. And if you just peel them hard enough, see that glue lets go and then they pop right off. So then you have what I thought would be a sprue in the middle too is nothing more than a pressure point. So you have 4 major parts here, and all you have to do is put a Phillips screwdriver in. You guys know what a Phillips is, right? One of those guys. And then all you have to do is put that in there, and then you give it a little bit of a twist, and then boom, it pops right out. If you do have a magnetized screwdriver, it's always easier because trying to get a screw out of a hole that's, well, here, I'll show you. It's that far down, see? So luckily that one was a little bit magnetized, or it got sticky. It's a little magnetized. So that's a pretty long way to reach down there with your fingers and get that out. So here's one, and always keep track of everything that you guys take apart on a system because, well, you have to put it back, right? And everybody that I know my entire life would take stuff apart, and then they'd always make that joke. Here's another one. Hey, I have an extra screw. Maybe it's not needed. Trust me, every screw was put in there for a reason. So you want to really keep tabs on those. Okay, so that one's still in there, so we got to get that out. This is the 4th one here. And then that one, see, that one luckily got magnetized enough. This one just didn't want to come out. Let's see if I can get it again here. You just got to go real slow sometimes. Look at that, there it is, guys. The elusive screw right there. Okay, so now we have 4 screws out of the system. So what you want to do is you want to put those next to the tops, and then you know that that is the configuration for when you put it back together. This is a very simple system to open, but when you get into a more detailed system or bigger system, you're going to have a lot more bits and pieces than just these little dinky 4 things over here. So now you have your system right here. This, I love the way this system comes apart because it's very, very simplistic, and I love simplicity because simplicity is easy to fix. So once the screws are out of the bottom, you have the 4 screws with the 4 little rubber feet cover thingies here, and then all you have to do is lift up this handle right here, right? It's a nice little handle they put on there, and then you just nicely just kind of wiggle it and pull, and look at that, guys. 100% access. Isn't that nice? So the system is really accessible that way, and then all you have to do is turn this around this way so you can actually get a vantage point on it. Okay, there you go. And now that's the inside of the system. Very, very simplistic design. So you have your cooling here, which is like a fan, and then it sucks air in this side, and they put this little piece of plastic over here which kind of funnels the air through the plastic, through the cooling vents, and then out the airflow, or vice versa. I think that's inward. Yeah, it's probably inward. It's probably coming in this way and then shooting out that way. That's kind of a nice design. I don't know how long that'll hold up, but that's a pretty nice design. Now, if you look at, here's your main motherboard here, and then here's your main circuit board for all of your inputs and outputs, your AC and everything. And then notice that right here, this is the very simplistic LED light. Very, very simplistic board. So it would take seconds, literally seconds, to swap that. And I'm going to show you in real time. And then underneath here, you have your battery cells. And then you have one controller right there. So your BMS controller, I believe, it looks like it's right here, okay, which is on the back of the unit. I'm sorry, not the BMS. That's your MPPT controller, I'm pretty sure. That powers the battery cells to, you know, to say how much power is supposed to go in or out or whatever. That's what that does, the MPPT controller. It picks up on the solar panel or the AC, and then it kind of balances it so you can, yeah, you know, kind of get the batteries properly without overdoing it. And then there's your air vent down here. So I'm assuming it comes in this way and then flows around all the circuitry and then goes down and then outside that. That's nice because it creates like an air pocket flow, like a tunnel. And then this is the light that's kind of burnt out. So notice that this screwdriver is pretty tough to get in there. But all you have to do is kind of squish it in there a little bit, and then always do screws very slowly, guys. Notice how that kind of rubs against the board here. So I have another fix that I've always used. If you have just a regular screwdriver, I went to a place called Harbor Freight, and they sell a very, very large screwdriver. So here I'm going to do my my famous Star Wars and Star Trek. You know, when you have a really big ship. So this is the original, okay. That's the original screwdriver I had, and I purchased this one for just these kind of occasions. Look at this, guys. Look at this. How crazy is that, right? Look at it, still going. Dun, dun, dun. You know the Star Wars theme. Look at that, guys. That is a heck of a screwdriver. I can't even get the whole thing on video. But what that does is that allows you to reach into very, very large spaces without having to knock stuff with this handle and stuff. So if you put this in here like this and just rest it down here, it's got to be, I think it's like 2 feet long. It's crazy long. And then once you get that loose, you just grab it like that. And then if you have some needle nose pliers, I always recommend needle nose pliers. You don't want to touch the circuit boards, of course, because that's a bad idea. So you put that in there in the screw, and you kind of just wiggle it, and eventually that'll let go and pop out. See? It's kind of like pulling a tooth out, I guess. But I suppose that's a bad analogy. But and then you get that's one. So there's 4 of these that you're going to have to get out of there. A lot of times, like I said, if you do have a magnetized screwdriver, you want to be careful because you're working around electronics and you're working around things that could, you know, get shocks. So you don't want to, you shouldn't really be talking while you do this. But see, there's number 2, okay? And now the top ones are very easy to get because notice that it doesn't get in the way of this this little board here. So these you could just pop right out. So you just kind of unscrew that one. Sorry to block your view there. If you drop one of these screws in there, it's kind of a pain because it falls all the way down in the system and then you'd have to go get it. So we're not going to try to do that. And then putting it back together is just as simple. And then this is a very, very, very simplistic fix. So I have a feeling that this one just either kind of burned out. You know, electronics are like that. You're going to have oopsies with electronics. It's part of the electronic world. Okay, now this rubbery stuff right here, this is basically a little rubbery glue kind of substance, and what that does is it keeps connections together. So all you do is you kind of just peel it like that. You see that? It's almost like a gel rubbery kind of stuff. So we don't need that anymore. Put that over there, and then you kind of just peel all that off. There you go, almost. And then once you get down to the bottom, you'll see that that whole thing just pops out. Look at that, guys. Simple, right? So that's the entire board. This is basically, I think that's called either a J plug or a, you know, I used to have this. I have this actually for one of my drones. That would fit in one of my drone slots. I forgot the name. It's like GST or something like that. I think GST is different, but it's that old of a plug. And then here's your diode. This is your LED diode that basically, you know, it emits all that light, guys. And I think either this board or that light shorted out. Notice there's a little bit of, yep. So there's a little bit of burn mark right there, guys. So what that is this board overheated. It put too much power to the board. And if you've ever smelt a circuit board that has that, you know, that burnt out smell, it's very, very unforgiving to your nose. Like, you will never forget that smell ever. But yes, it does have a very, very faint burn smell with it. And what that did is that burned out either the diode or the little circuit chip board thing right there. So that's a very, very simplistic fix. And obviously the other part of it is just your lens. So that's just your lens where the LED would go into the little lens right there like that. And then, see, it would just kind of like that. Very, very simple. This is basically like a seeing pair of glasses. And it emphasizes that light to make it more rather than a one pinpoint light. It tries to spread it out a little bit. But that's it, guys. That's all they need to replace. And you know, no one should have to do this, of course, but that's the whole point, purpose and point of a review and a test, is to see the technology and to test it to make sure that it can stand up. But yeah, it does have that little bit of a burn mark right there in the middle, right under the tag. So yep, so all you have to do is now I'm going to put this back in like it's a brand new, and hopefully I asked Bluetti to send me another one of these little boards, and then hopefully they'll send that to me. I don't need this part, of course. I just need the board. I don't need this part. So this, you just twist onto the light. Now let's pretend, guys, that, oops, I dropped that. Let's pretend that Bluetti sent me another one of these guys. So, which I'm hoping they will do. You push this back on there like that. It's kind of snug. It kind of sticks on there. And then you put that inside the little hole where the light goes, of course. And then you put it there like that. And then what I like to do is line up one screw. And the reason I use one screw is because that's kind of like the third hand you wish you had whenever you do this kind of stuff. You always wish you had 3 arms or 3 hands or whatever. So you just put it in a little bit, and what that does is keep it there so it doesn't drop, right? And then this little pin here, you clean this off a little bit. This is basically just that rubbery stuff. Normally you'd put more of this on there, but I don't have any right now. So you just plug that right back in. And I can't see the vibrations really taking that out. That's just a precaution thing. You notice they do it on all the port connections, so the vibrations or anything, or a jolt, or you drop it, it doesn't pop off. But that's so tiny, I really can't see that one popping off. And then when you put this back together, you want to put it just a little bit, not snuggy, so I can still wiggle it. And the reason for that is because you never want to do circuit boards tight on one screw. And the reason for that is because it likes to move around, and you want to be able to seat it properly. Now here's my, I'm going to call this my Star Wars screwdriver, which is super duper long. I mean, it's 24 inches, guys. Isn't that crazy? It's super crazy. It's, I don't even know who it's made by. Oh, Pittsburgh. So it's made by Pittsburgh. I picked that up at Harbor Freight, and I absolutely love it because I had to open another power station where this was not long enough, guys. And I mean, like, look at this. This is probably 5 inches, right? And this is 24. Look, I can't even get it on video, guys. It's crazy how long that screwdriver is. Look at the difference of that. But it really helps. Like, maybe if I had like a dashboard that needed something inside it, I could really reach up inside there and kind of poke that in there and get that. And all right, we'll get that back together. And then, like I said, for the top ones you don't need all that fancy long stuff. I like to use it on the bottom ones because I don't like to put any pressure or any motions on any of the circuit boards. And remember to always ground yourself, guys. When you play with this stuff, you could have electronic shock. Those of us who have those big wool socks, as a kid, you always rub your feet on the ground, and then you go over and you shock your brother or sister in the head, and that's always fun for a couple of minutes until they do it to you, and then you guys start a fight. So if you remember that far back here. And then the big one will tighten the bottom ones. And there you go. Yeah, I really like that screwdriver, guys. And it was like, it was a 2-pack. I got one Phillips and one flathead, and it was cheap, guys. It was like $10, for 2 of these. And that's worth $5. I mean, imagine if you can get one job done with that huge screwdriver. Look at this. It does not even fit on the camera. If you can get one job done with that screwdriver, that's worth its weight in gold for sure. Okay, so now see, that's back on. The port's back in. The light's back inside. And then all you do is you take this, you spin it around back towards you now. Okay, that's how easy it is. And if you want to, take the wireless charging off, you can just take off this one right here off the board. But chances are you'll never have to open this board. This is just a cautionary thing, because, like I said, the first one that I got to review for Bluetti is this power station. And I was kind of shocked, because the first one, even though this company is huge and they have very, very good products, everyone makes mistakes. There's no company out there that has 100% perfect track record for everything that they've ever made. I've had, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I've had four different power station manufacturers for reviews on this channel, and of all four has had mistakes. So it's kind of par for the course for electronics. Oh, and then on the board, I forgot to mention that, like, say this is the board again. What you want to do is you want to do a zigzag pattern, okay? It's called a star pattern on it. When you put your car in, you want to do the lugs like this. So that star evenly sets all of the lugs, and the same with plastic and electronics is you'd want to do this one, okay? Let me just get this one down here. And if you don't have a star, you just do it like a cross pattern. Some people go, so you just do a little snug. Remember, this is plastic, so you don't want to do too much. And then you want to go across to the other side over here, and then you want to do this one. And that's the best way to put electronics and boards in general back together. And then you go across here. Now notice how you're making that X, that cross pattern, star pattern they call it. And you don't have to always have 5 points or more. Like, my vehicle has 8 lugs on it. It's a heavy duty thing, so it's got 8 lugs on it. So all you do is you just kind of guess. You just bounce around like that until all of them are done, and then next thing you know, all 8 of them are all equally tight and equally balanced. Because if I were to tighten this one too tight, guys, it might make this one hard to get, because this will arc up like this, right? And then it'll go on an angle or not seat correctly. So here, that's the last one over there. Okay. And there you go. And just a snug. Remember, this is plastic, guys. You don't want to over torque this stuff. It's, this is plastic stuff. It's strong, but not strong, if you know what I mean. And then there you go. You can just literally put the foot back in there. You can put a dot of something in there, a little dot of super glue, a little dot of just plastic glue in there. You can clean these off if you want, just by going like that and peel this stuff off. But I don't think it's necessary. It's not like these things are going to go running around anywhere. This one is more portable though, so you might be carrying this. So you might want to put one little dot on there. These are still sticky enough to reuse the same ones. And once you get those done like that, there you go. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 screws are in, 4 screws on the board, 1 light, one of those lenses to make the light kind of veer out a little wider, a little bit of an angle. All right, let's put the Star Wars tool away. All right, that was huge. Let's put that over here. Guys, it's so big I don't know where to put it. Don't quote me on that. That's a weird quote. Okay, so, all right, so there you go. Now you have a perfectly put back together Bluetti power station. It would take, and then we'll test it, okay? So it go like that. That turns on the power station. This is the initial startup that goes through. You want it to do, so if I hold this down, you want it to go through this little startup before you start hitting buttons. Give it a second just to kind of, do what it does. It's kind of like when you start your car. If you start your car and you put on the radio and the windshield wipers right away, that system doesn't like that. So, start your car, start your engine, start your power station, and then give it a second to kind of, hey, I'm over here, I'm ready to go, and then you hit the button. And remember now, normally that would turn on. See, it's drawing out energy, but it's not turning on. And that's a dead giveaway of either the burnt out board that we saw or the burnt out LED. I don't know which it was, but remember when I hit this number 2, it spiked to 5 watts on the last video. And 5 watts I think is way too much, because when you look at the schematics for the paper here, let's see if it's in there. Let me get this bad boy. These I always read. I always recommend reading these. Okay, I never do. Okay, let's see. Let's go to the light and see if it's even in here. I believe that the 1 watt is low and the 2 watts is high, and then the 1 watt back is the SOS strobe thing. So let's see. Okay, let's turn that off so that we don't have any issues over there. Okay, the system is still on. We can always shut that down if you want. Okay, there you go. All right, so let's go to the light here. This is number 9. It says LED lamp, okay? And then the LED lamp button, okay? And let's see if it has the lights for temperature discharge. Okay, so yeah, there's really no schematics on the LED light. So according to what I've noticed, it was 1 watt for low and 2 watts for high. Now those of us who know LEDs, 1 watt is very bright, guys. Don't go putting that in your eyeballs. You saw the last video I did, that first one we did, and I'm literally like blind for like 10 seconds. It's like staring into the sun. So 1 watt is really bright, and 2 watts is even worse. I work with LEDs for a very, very long time. But notice the 2 things that are not in here is the wattage for the LED light bulb. It's not anywhere here. So what I would do is I would put, let me see if I can get a little pen here, and we're going to do a little, let me see if I have one. Okay. So here I have a pen, and I'm going to add to this instruction booklet here, this owner's manual, I'm going to put the LED light is 1 watt on low, which they call medium, and then it's 2 watts on high, and then back to 1 watt on SOS. SOS. All right. There you go. So I'm going to write that in here, and that way I remember 1 watt for low, 2 watts for high, and then 1 for SOS. And the reason for that is because it's going like this, guys. Right? It's going like that. So it doesn't need that much power for an SOS light. And then the other thing that is not in here, which I was very surprised that it's not in here, it has all the dimensions and everything. It has the 268.8 watt hours, 12 amp hour battery, but you know what it does not have listed in any of this or on Bluetti's website, and I'll let them know that, is if you look on the bottom, like I was saying before, this says right here, it says 22.4 volts, and that number is not in, it's missing in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to put 22.4 volts, and that way I also remember that this system is a 22.4 volt battery cell chemistry composition with lithium iron phosphate. It has that. It has the lithium iron phosphate here. It has the 288. It's actually 288.8 though. Crazy. So I would almost classify that as 269. And then 12 amp hour battery, but that 22.4 volts was not listed in this manual or on Bluetti's website. I thought that was strange. I'll let them know. I'll let the guys at the Bluetti live stream that I go to all the time, I'll let them know that, you know, this is missing from the manual, it's missing from their website, and then also this is missing. I don't know if it's that important, but the reason I noticed that it was very important is because, like I said, when I turned on this system for the very first time I've ever gotten this, like I said, this is the first review we've ever done for Bluetti as far as power stations. And when I turned that on originally, like I said, it was only supposed to do, well, I did the same thing. I didn't give it enough time to let that finish what it's doing. And then you hit the button, and then it goes to 1 watt. And then when you hit that second button, it goes to the, supposed to go to the 2 watts, but notice it didn't. Oh, there it goes. Okay, I didn't push it hard enough. So 2 watts, and 2 watts is the high settings. And this, and if you watch the last video, spiked all the way up to 4 and 5 watts, guys. That's too much power for this little light. So there was either a problem in that light or in that circuit board. And hopefully, if and when Bluetti sends another little board like that, I can open that as fast as you saw me open that, and I can swap that like that, lickety split. And then back to 1, which is the strobing light. But I noticed that only because I'm a real, I don't know, I'm a real picky guy when it comes to specs. So I always kind of take notes of little things like that. A lot of people miss that because you know, like when you work in the industry or work around the industry of electronics, you have a real good memory for what you've seen in the past, or you know, just the little numbers, and they kind of stick in your head, and it's hard to forget them. So it's 22.4 volts. Yeah, it's stuck in my head, and it's 1 watt on low and 2 on high and 1 back on SOS. The other thing that was kind of different is this little thing right here. You have to push that in on the top. See how it kind of falls out? Push that in and then kind of snug it up. Not a problem. This one fits very well. This is a very, very nice, I would almost put this as a watershed IP65 or IP66 possibly. Very, very good tight connection. And then this is the AC for the wall. You don't really need it because it's an input, right? You're not going to get shocked from an input, right? It's the outputs that you would get shocked from. This whole side is an input. And then you have your circuit breaker in case something goes you know, crazy or haywire over here. You can just reset it like that, kind of like on your house. You got circuit breakers. All right, guys. Well, I just wanted to make this update video regarding the well, you don't need this anymore. The light on this system, and I'm waiting to hear back from Bluetti, and then I'm going to see if they could send me, you know, I'll even buy it. I have no problem with that. Just a little board in there. I shouldn't have to buy it, but I will. I mean, how much could a board cost? A couple dollars, you know. But this little light, I mean, out of the whole deal, I get the free power station to do the review and give my honest opinion. So I think that's more than fair to, you know, pay a couple bucks for the little circuit board there. And then, unless they want to send it to me for free, I'm not going to argue with that, of course. But they send me a little LED board light. They don't need the lens. And then I can, as you saw in, you know, less than 2 seconds, 2 minutes maybe, I can replace that. And this system may be 100% again, or 100% for the kind of first time. Notice everything else works fine. You turn out all the AC, the DC's on. The input we're not using because that's obviously solar right now. And then the only thing that's having trouble is that light. But everything else works pretty good, guys. I've been kind of messing with the system a little bit. Let's turn this off. And let's turn this off. I've been messing with the system a little bit and trying little things. And I'm going to have more videos that test the loads and everything of how much we can push this before it pops. How much we can push this possibly before it pops. I don't do much of the 12 volt. I don't really have a lot of equipment that uses 12 volt. I've moved past that onto AC, of course, because now the inverters are very efficient to where you put an inverter in a car and you don't have to run 12 volts. And then you can run a higher voltage, which is better for equipment rather than running 12 or 24 volts. All right, guys, well, this is just an update. So ramble on, stay safe. And if you like the Bluetti, check it out. If you don't, that's okay. This is just an honest review of what I found testing their first power station. Thank you, Bluetti, for sending this to me. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. I love comments because our community grows that way and our knowledge base grows that way. If you have knowledge that I don't have, which could be a lot. I mean, I'm just an average guy just doing an average review. You know, please state your opinions, state your experiences with these things, and let us all know. All right, guys, ramble on, be safe, and I'll see you next time at Ramblin Bob Reviews. Bye!